Hello and welcome everyone to day 5 of this quest for a 2000 rating on chess.com. So let's find an opponent today and see what happens. Alright, so a 15-minute game. And as we wait for an opponent, hopefully I'll get white. Okay, I got white today for a change. It seemed like I kept getting the black pieces. Alright, so the opening repertoire I chose starts with e4. So, alright, so they respond with e5. So I'll do knight to f3. And I guess I'll try and set up an Italian game unless they play this. And I haven't gone over what response to the Petrov defense or the Russian defense. Now, I've played this before in the past, so let's see here. I'll just go ahead and do that. All right, and then they force me to retreat back, and I'll play this, gain some space, and then now I'll be ready to push this bishop up here, attack, put more pressure on this knight, and we'll see what the opponent decides to do here. All right. So, okay, interesting. Develops the knight, but blocks his own bishop. So, I guess we'll go ahead and attack with our bishop, and now we're ready to castle already. And so this forces him to make a decision. I mean, I guess he wanted to... Okay, so now he just retreats back. I guess I'll just go ahead and castle. You know, just complete my development here. So far it's going okay. All right, so I should probably just put this rook on the open file. So I'm going to go ahead, do that. And then I have to decide what to do with my bishop. And my knight. Okay. Let's see. Where is a good spot for this bishop? All right, well, maybe I'll push this pawn forward, then I can run my bishop up here and drop it back if it comes under attack. All right, so I'll go ahead and do that. All right, and now I can just protect my knight with the other knight. And I don't know if that was best, but I could push this. Okay, so now I think I will push this pawn up here to fortify my central pawn, and then I'll be able to bring my queen up maybe. Up here perhaps. Alright, I think I'll go ahead and do that. Bring my queen up here to c2. Then I'll have a battery up here aiming at his king side. All right. Okay. So Perhaps he's trying to trade. I could just move my queen. So I think I'll try that. I think I'll just move the queen. Or do I capture? I could perhaps just capture. No, I need to move the queen. So I'll go ahead and do that. Create the battery up here, aimed at his king side. And then perhaps I could trade off by placing pieces in the center here. Let's see. Okay, so that's an interesting plan. Now I could capture here. I mean, does that help me in any way? If I trade rooks here, capture, then his queen would have to recapture unless he uses a knight, but he won't do that, or I can maybe pick off this pawn with check. So capture his rook. His queen would have to recapture. My other rook could come over attacking his queen. The queen would just have to move. Let's see. Well, then I would have control of this file. So I guess I could try that. Now he put his rook here, so he probably plans to just push forward. So let's go ahead and take control of that. Go after his queen. Now he'll have to either block with his bishop, which he probably won't do, or just retreat his queen. All right, so that just gives us control of that open file now. But the question is, can we take advantage of that in any way? All right, so do we jump our knight up here? If we do that, and he captures, could end up trading off material. So if we capture, or excuse me, if we move our knight up here to e4, if he captures, then if we capture, or he could just leave us there and attack our bishop. Would that gain him anything? We would just retreat. No, if he moves that knight, we could, All right, do we move this knight forward? Okay, so that's the question. Do we jump forward there? The problem is he could try, he doesn't have to capture. He could just move, bring his other knight down. Well, I don't know, this is tricky. All right, so I'm running out of time. I'll go ahead, just play this, see what he does. All right. Well, let's see. Well, now, did that really accomplish anything? Because it might just pull his queen out, and then we'll have to retreat. So we might as well just back this. Do we want to back this bishop up? And if we, I don't see any sacrifices of this bishop. Nothing really that I could do here. All right, might as well just retreat down there. Just wait and see what he does. And what's the time looking like? So once again, I'm behind in time here. Okay, so he does capture. So we recapture here. Now we're attacking his bishop. All right, so he pulls our queen up, but he'll be able to attack us. All right. He'll just be able to move his knight and attack us. All right, so that's what I suspected. We could just move here and attack this pawn, but what does that really do? Let's see. All right, does he want to push forward here? So what should we try to do here? Well, do we just retreat our queen back? See what he does next? Guess we'll just go here because now we're just kind of running out of time. All right. All right, I could just ignore that and or do I capture? Maybe I capture and then attack his queen. So I'll go ahead and do that and then just attack his queen if he captures with this pawn. Unless he captures towards the center. Or capture. He probably wouldn't want to capture with the rook because he'll have an isolated pawn. Okay, so he does that. So now I can go ahead and just attack his queen. Where will his queen go? All right. So let's attack his queen. See what he does next. Will he just move his queen over here and attack mine? All right. And I probably should push this pawn up here and get my pawns on the light square so they're on the opposite colored squares of my bishop. But we still have knights on the board, so I have to watch out that I can protect those pawns with the knight. Protect the pawns from his knight, especially if we traded off the queen and the rook. So I don't know. We'll just see what he decides to do here. Okay. So he wants to just attack there. What should we try and do? Do we just remaneuver our queen over to here? Or do we just attack? All right. All right. Probably should move this queen somewhere. Or do I just move this rook up to protect? All right. All right. All right. Just do that. See what he does. He'll possibly just try and attack. Okay. So now, do we just go there? Now, will he try and take control of this open file? And should I be afraid of that? Okay. All right. Probably need to move this king over. Should I put these pawns on the opposite colored squares of my bishop? That is what I'm trying to figure out now. And lock his in on this color. Okay. Well, let's do that. See what he does. Will he try and check me? Then I can block with the rook. All right, well, it's kind of dragging out in this end game. My opponent's playing pretty quickly here. Do I go ahead? Okay, so he's attacking my bishop. Now the question is, do I just capture that? Maybe I do. Maybe I just capture. Then attack. All right, well, I'm running out of time, so let's go ahead and do that. All right, then we will attack his rook. I don't know, it looks like we're just going to trade down into the end game, and it could be tricky if you have just knights in the end game. I think knight end games are some of the less drawish end games. But if he does attack me, or if he does capture, pulls my knight down here, and then that'll prevent his knight from being able to move up there. Okay. So now, let's see. Do I just capture? Just capture. Let's see. Then we can move our knight. Do we want to protect that knight by going that way? Or is there a better spot for this knight? We'll go here and then start bringing our king out. From here, our knight can guard. If we can push this pawn up, and then our other pawn to the square here on B3, we'll have a pawn triangle guarded. The base of it will be guarded by our knight. All right, now let's see. Go there, then jump our king up towards the center. All right. Great. Did I let him jump into my position? Well, I could ignore him. If I go here, he'll be able to attack me. All right, so I'm in a little predicament here. Should probably try and keep his knight out of my position. Yeah, see, with knights in the endgame, it gets pretty tricky. Okay, well, I don't want him going after my knight, so I have to do that. Oh, great. Did I just miss that pawn? Oh, I didn't even see that. What in the heck? That was not good at all. Well, man. That might be the end of the game there. I don't know. I was just so focused on trying to keep his king out that I just made a blunder by not realizing that the king and the knight were piling up on this pawn. I should have just pushed my b pawn up. All right, do I have anything by giving up another pawn and jumping up here? All right. Do I check him here? Does that do anything? It drives the king back. But then this pawn is still unprotected, and then where does my knight go? All right. Well, I don't know. This game looks like it might be lost now. So if I move forward here, checking the king, he has to go back. Maybe he'll go back here and start going after these pawns. What does my knight do after that? All right, well, I'm running out of time. I have to avoid a trade, so I'll just chase this king out of there. All right, now what? Now what? What can this knight do? It does not look good here. It does not look good. Well, at least we slow things down a little bit here. Alright, so I should trade off material. That's generally what you want to do when you're behind. When you're behind in material, I'm behind a pawn. You want to trade off as many pawns as you can. Alright, so probably don't want to push this pawn forward. I guess I should attack his knight. Alright, so if I attack his knight, where does he go with that knight? Anyway, I'm going to run out of time if I don't hurry, so we'll attack his knight. It has to go up here. Or it can go there. All right. All right, so he can't go here and attack. He could go up here and attack. That's not looking good. He could go down here and attack. Alright, so I guess we're going that way. Alright, now what? Do we push forward here? Probably need to push forward. All right. And I'm so low on time. Man, this guy just blasted out his moves, pretty quickly. Or I'm just really slow. So I always, had a little bit of trouble with time, I think, because when I was younger, I would just play long, slow games. Without a clock, and it probably didn't do me any favors. Okay, let's see what he decides to do here. Now he kind of has me in a zugzwang position here. Alright, I guess I could move my knight up though. If I go here, he goes down here and attacks. Alright, I'm running out of time, so I have to move here. Now he could just attack my knight. By just jumping up here and attacking. And the game's probably over. He just has, 2 extra pawns, and what can I do? He's just going to push one. Alright, so do we move our knight up here? He could just attack that one. Alright, before I run out of time. He'll probably just, I don't know, push another pawn here. Anyway, it's not looking too good, and he has so much time to just sit there and figure everything out. Okay, let's go after his knight. That might change things a little bit. All right, now I might be winning. This is crazy. Holy cow. If he goes here and I capture, yeah, that'll just stop his... Now I'm winning. This is nuts. Oh, wait, I got to be careful here. No, that puts him in check, so he's got to take care of that check. Yeah, this is crazy. Now I'm just winning with the extra knight. Let's see. All right, I should go there. He'll push his pawn, I'll capture. But now I'll be able to race back over here and use my knight. Yeah, so now I'm just going to win the game. This is crazy. After I was dead lost. Whew. I guess that just goes to show if you hang in there, you never know what could happen. All right, so we go there. Now he's going to try for a draw. If I'm not careful, he could get a draw. Okay. Let's take that. Then push him away. All right, so now what would be best? Just reposition our knight. He'll probably go over here to protect his pawn. Then we can reposition our knight here. All right, we have to All right, what are we doing? We just have to swing back around. Get our king over here and go after this pawn. Oh, come on, a draw, really? Oh, that was so disappointing. I had that game won. Oh my gosh, it just repeated the position 3 times. Anyway, I deserved to lose the game, so a draw is better than losing. But oh man, I just misplayed that, going back and forth. I needed to get my king back here and then move the king up in front of this pawn. Well, I don't know. Yeah, okay, with my knight covering this square. So I needed to get my king back over here in front of the pawn and then chase him away with my knight somehow, and get in front of his pawn with my king, and then bring the knight around, so the knight and the king could attack. That was just... All right, well, let's do a quick game review. And my rating went down 1 point because he was lower rated. Man, that was disappointing. Okay, we'll do the quick game review and then I'll go over the analysis afterwards. So, all right, so I played at an 88.9 versus their 83.9. They had two blunders, so we'll have to check those out. It says giveaway. That should have been your win. Oh man, yeah, that's crazy. See, I was, excuse me, totally losing here, until the end, and then I was definitely winning until I don't know, I didn't pay attention to the repetition for the draw there. All right, let's see what the computer finds in this. So we played the Petrov's defense, and I'll go over this more when I do the analysis. I'll just kind of let the computer, zip through these moves real quick, and then we'll take a closer look at it. Man, it's just going through all of them. So it says that was a bad move. Instead, I should have brought my king up, because, oh man, yeah. So by me not bringing my king up and moving this pawn, see, just one pawn move, the game is losing pretty much. So I should have brought this king up here first, and then I could have pushed the pawn to keep his knight out of here, because, well, we'll see what happens here after I do the analysis. All right, so now I have a winning position because he gave up his knight. I guess he thought he could push his pawns through, or he just overlooked that moving that pawn, that his knight wasn't protected anymore. All right, so looks like it says you had a pretty competitive game there. The opening was balanced. It was an incredible middle game by both of you. You outmaneuvered your opponent in the end game. So, I don't know, I played at a 1950 level versus their 1900 level. And the opening accuracy was 95.1 for me, 93.3 for them, 94.8 in the middle game versus their 96.9. And so the end game, 84.5 versus 77. So the end game oh man, I just hung in there until he made a blunder. All right, maybe he was trying to run me out of time. So let's take a look at the analysis. We'll go back to the beginning and just go through this. So e4, e5, solid opening moves, knight to f3. And now, usually somebody will play knight to c6 here, but instead the opponent plays this Petrov's defense, where you just ignore the attack on this pawn and you counterattack their pawn. But you have to be careful here. There's a beginner's trap that you could fall for. So if they capture immediately, that can run into problems. I won't go into that here because it looks like I have quite a few moves to go through. But the opponent plays this d6 move, which is the book move. You want to try and do that first to drive the knight back, and then you can go after this pawn. Because if you just take the pawn immediately with your knight, you can run into a little bit of some problems, possibly. So d4. Now this move was different. Knight to d7. It says that's a good move, but d5 would have been better. So the book move, a lot of times is just d5 here, pushing the pawn forward so you have equal space in the center with white. And then you also have a knight up here that's protected by a pawn. So this move was a little strange. I don't know if I've come across that move. I mean, I see what he was trying to do. probably just bring it over here and back this up possibly. So I attack. He retreats. So that's interesting. Now, well, I guess he probably had to retreat there because let's see. Well, it looks like he could play the other knight here and just protect. So that is possible, but the best move is just to retreat back, it looks like. So now we have castling, bishop to e7, so black gets ready to castle as well. And now, let's see. Looks like, once again, the computer wanted d5 for black. Now, I play rook to e1. It says that's a good move, but a little better would have been c4. To just push forward here, try and control more of the center. So, that's the move I should have played there. And also, you bring this pawn up here to c4, and you can put your knight in behind it there. So, yeah, that would have been probably the best move, and according to the computer it was. All right, so they castle, the best move. I play h3. It says that's good, but twice as good would have been, once again, to just play c4 there. And that's a good strategy, is whenever you can put two pawns beside each other in the center of the board, whether it's your E and D pawn, or the C and the D pawn, that'll give you a good bit of control here in the center. And then you push that pawn up, and then the knight can come in behind it. Whereas if you move the knight first, it kind of blocks that pawn. All right, so now we have b6, an inaccuracy. And it looks like that jumps the game up to 0.9 in white's favor. And now it says d5 would have been the best to just keep things equal in the center. All right, so now, once again, it wanted me to play c4. So, man, I guess I really should have played that move. Now we have an attack. This bishop is attacking my knight, although it's protected by the queen. It looks like rook to e8 was the best move there. And so I played this, and again, it wants c4 to just lock down the center here. Although, I don't know, with that, they could push forward. But I guess I could push my b pawn up if there's exchanges here. Okay, so once again, c4 should have been played, but instead I bring this knight here to back up my other knight. So, maybe that's a little passive, and, c4 was better. So rook to e8, the best move, lining up on this open file. So now I play c3, and it says that's excellent, but again, c4 is what the computer wants. So the bishop retreats, and it says a6 would have been a better move. So I move my queen. It says that's excellent, but moving even further to b3 and lining up on the king would have been a better move. So pretty interesting. I guess, possibly you could put your queen on b3 and then maybe at some point, I don't know, try to put the bishop on c4, but it looks like that would probably be blocked out by this d5 move. Anyway, moving on, we have rook to c8, a good move, but g6 looks like that's best because that could block any possible attack here up towards the king. And it looks like I could possibly have tried to play a knight up here, with the queen and bishop battery, and tried to put pressure here, or maybe even pin this knight first, and then jump up there. All right, anyway, I capture, and it says that's the best move. So I did that to take control of the e-file because the queen captures, and it says that's best. And now I can chase the queen off of there with the best move, rook to e1, and take control of that e-file. But, you know, was I able to do much with control of that e-file? I don't know. So, I mean, it allowed me to try and jump my knight up here and see if I could get any kind of play, you know, towards the king side. So knight to g5, it looks like would have been better. So that plan I mentioned earlier to just jump a knight up here and try and put pressure on this h pawn with the queen and bishop battery, that would have been a better move by half a pawn's worth of material. All right, so now h6 is played, which is an excellent move. You know, it keeps the knights out of there now. So bishop retreat says that's good, but better would have been just to move, looks like to move this knight back, my f knight back there. All right, so capture, 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 queen capture. And it says the rook capture would have been better. Interesting. All right, so rook takes e4 would have been best, but now the game is about even. So my queen is attacked, and the computer wanted c6 here to block the queen, maybe trying to come over and attack this pawn, but you know, that pawn could move forward, you know, or the rook could even try and protect it, I guess. But anyway, queen to e2, so I retreat back. I wasn't sure where to move this queen, but it looks like queen to c6 would have been a better move, maybe to block up these pawns and keep the position cramped. So that's a pretty interesting little strategy. If the queen would have jumped up here to c6, it would have kept the position pretty cramped. You know, and this rook is just kind of trapped in here. And it's behind the c-pawn, so obviously he wants to push forward, so the queen could have stopped this pawn from moving here. So c5 is played, capture, and it looks like queen to c2 would have been better. Yeah, just ignoring that. All right, so capture, but I thought, well, now I can attack the queen, and it says that's the best move, but now he attacks me, and it looks like queen to e7 would have been even better. So I just line up here, and it says better would have been to just go ahead and capture. All right, so capture, capture. Now this is the best move, taking control of this open file. You know, and I thought, well, if he comes down here, I can block with my rook, and he can't go up here to d2 because the knight's covering that. So I just ignore his rook, push forward to try and get my pawns on the light squares. That way, you know, they're not being attacked in the endgame by the bishop that's on the dark squares. And so he was smart about that. He just said, well, if this bishop's going to be on the opposite colored squares, and all my pawns are on the same colored squares as white's bishop, he just decides to trade off here. So I don't know. I wonder if it would have, I guess we'll find out if, you know, just capturing is best. It said that knight to e5 would have been better, to just block. Interesting. So it wanted me to just block there. All right. So capture. You know, now under attack, capture. So we just trade down. Now I put my knight here because my plan was to go b3 and then push this pawn to a4 and kind of lock things down over here, and then push this pawn up and get my king up in the center to try and hold back his king. But he used the interesting maneuver here. He goes over here and then just flies down through the light squares here. So I push forward. He goes there. I push forward. Now it says king to f5 was the best move, and the game is even now. And here I make a mistake. It looks like I should have immediately brought my king here, because now when he goes here, I can't. Well, I won't say I can't, but if I go here, his knight could swing down here, forking my king and this pawn. I would have to retreat back, and then his king could move in here, attacking my knight and this pawn at the same time. So yeah, I'm just in trouble. Probably pretty much losing right now. So I go here to keep his knight out of my position, but now he goes here, and I make another mistake. He's attacking the pawn with his knight, and I just let him take it. I mean, I guess I should have moved up here, and then, if he moved into my position, I could have just moved over to protect my knight. This is a mistake, because now he just captures. And so, yeah, b3 was the best move. And I don't know, I just had a lapse in judgment there. I guess I was so focused on trying to get my king over to stop his king that I just totally, I don't know, overlooked that this pawn was attacked by the knight and the king. So capture, avoid the trade when you're behind in material. You want to avoid trading pieces and try and trade off pawns. So he goes there, king to e5, it looks like would have been better. So I push a pawn forward to try and stop him from moving forward and restricting my pawns on the king side. So he takes another pawn. Yeah, you don't want to just give your pawns away. But I thought, well, man, I'm already in trouble. So from here, I just hang on for my life. And he just starts pushing all his pawns forward. And I thought, oh, well, this helps me, because now I can just... and it looks like he should have just kept pushing his pawns. And now I'm able to trade off another set of pawns. So that relieves some of the tension over here on the king side. And now he jumps up here. And he was threatening a fork on b4. So it says that move was good, but a better move would have been to go here, checking his king. The king would have to protect this pawn, so probably move over here to c5, possibly. But then I could, maybe he would go up here, because then my knight could have jumped in here and started attacking these pawns. Oh, yeah, okay. So b4, the best move. I played knight to g3. Let's see here. So he just starts pushing forward, and here I was just kind of trapped, and I'm lost here. It's -5, so 5, almost 6 pawns worth of material in black's favor here, and he just keeps pushing those pawns, and I'm stuck to just move my king back and forth, and then now I kind of have to. Let's see. Here it looks like he should have just moved his knight and attacked my knight. And what do? I just keep moving back and forth. It looks like it preferred knight to g3 here. So that's interesting. But I wanted this knight to kind of block off the king from moving forward. So this was the blunder here that he made. He should have just played knight to f4, attacking my knight. So my knight would have to move, and then his king would kind of jump up further into the position. It just would have been bad. So now the game went from 7 points of material in black's favor to +2 in favor of white now. So I capture. He moves forward here, and this is another blunder. So now the game is even more in white's favor. It looks like king to c5 would have been better, but either way, well, I don't know. King to c5. If we go back, king to c5. Now here it says king to e5 as well on the computer. That is a draw. Huh. That's pretty crazy that king to e5. This says it's a draw here. Okay, so now it says king to c5 would have been better. But after b3, another blunder. This allows me to capture. He probably thought he could march his pawn through, but after capture here, now the king will be able to stop that pawn, because if it marches up to a2, the king can just jump to b3 and pick that pawn off. So his king moves in. And here, I don't know, I'm thinking I probably should have just moved my knight over and blocked that pawn. Let's see what the computer says. No, it says b4 is the best move. So if we go back, b4, knight to c1. Here the computer says knight to c1 is best. They're both equal, b4 or knight to c1. So I go here. Yeah, now it says I should have checked him. So knight to d4 check would have been better. All right. Well, if we go there. So now it says that's excellent, but the king retreating up here would have been better. But I don't know. Now this way. Oh, once again, it wanted me to check him. Oh, man. Yeah, I missed that move. Yeah, that was a good... That would have really sealed the game. So instead of going after the pawn, I had a better move with knight to d4, because that would drive the king back. Oh, man. Yeah, that was a game winning move immediately right there, and it gives me time. The king would have to back away from this pawn, then I could pick off this pawn. So that was a good move that I overlooked. All right. Oh, I went too far. Where were we? Somewhere in here. Here, we'll just blast through these moves again, where he gives up his knight. Okay, so I take the knight. The pawns are exchanged. All right, then he gets in front, and he pushes here, and I overlook that great knight move to d4. So I capture. He captures, and now I'm still ahead, but man, I just gave up a huge advantage. So I don't know. I just and then I just repeated the position by accident here. So I don't know. That's kind of heartbreaking. So what should I have done here? Here I should have possibly just moved my knight up here. Or just move my knight back to here. Yeah, so I could. All right, so let's see what the computer says real quick. Knight to e4 is the best move, it looks like. So we'll just go ahead and see how the computer says this should have been done. Knight to e4, attacking the pawn. He would have to play king to f5 to protect it. And then white is just absolutely winning here. Then knight to g3, check. king to e6. But then how do you follow up? Now it's saying knight to e4 again, and end up repeating the position. Then he goes back here, and now what? Knight to g3. It's just going to repeat the position. Okay, computer, come on. Let's see. It also says that I could just give up the knight. Then if he captures, we just move our king up. And then if he goes here to keep the diagonal opposition, well, then we just press forward. If he tries to keep the opposition with king to, or you could go to G. Anyway, it looks like you just outplay this. You know, if he goes here, then we have this kind of position here, and then we gain the opposition. He would have to move to the side. If he goes there, then I don't know, what do we do here? We just move over, or do we just go there? Yeah, so that's a good move. And then now what does he do? He would have to move up this way to try and cover this, because otherwise once we get up to g7 we'll control the queening square. So if he goes there, I don't know, we have time to just press forward as well. And then if he tries to gain the opposition, by going here, well, then we can just keep pushing, and then now he's forced to move and we'll gain the opposition. So let's see, if he goes there, then we just do that, and we just wait for him to move off to the side. So if he goes there, we go here, and then we can march our pawn forward. All right, so we'll go back and just finish this out. So it just, I went back and forth here and ended up having a draw. The computer says instead the game could have gone with king to d4, this pawn move, pushing forward here. Then now we guard this pawn, and then if he goes there, heck, at this point we can give up the knight, because when he captures, our king will just jump up in front here and just escort the pawn up. All right, well, if you stuck around for that whole crazy game and the game review and everything, I thank you all. So I'll just continue this quest for 2,000 rating, although I don't know, I need to step it up a little bit. If I want to keep the rating going up. I made some mistakes in that one, and then I had a chance to win and messed that up. So anyway, thank you all for watching. If you haven't liked and subscribed yet, please go ahead and do that. Also, feel free to leave comments, suggestions, leave requests for things you would like to see. I do other videos as well. All right, well, thank you for watching, everyone, and have a super chess day.